July 31st, 2021. Guys, it's hot here in central Mississippi at 4:06 p.m. Central. It's 1:11, and my little weather station is in the shade right now because a good bit of my yard is. But real feel is 1:11. It's been up to 115 the last couple of days. Now, the sun is continuing to give us filament releases, CMEs, all of the above, and we've got some spots turning around that are coming on the left side of this image, or the eastern limb, that maybe be a little more active than what we saw. But right now we're dealing with a lot of magnetism, and you'll watch right here. This is a filament. It is forming. It's getting thicker throughout the last 2 days. This goes from the 30th to the 31st. You look at your timestamp, and as it reaches over to the right, it's going to start triggering, and right there you see an explosion. And that is that's a double flare. You get a CME, and you get a what's called a Hyder flare, where that actually collapses back to the surface of the sun and creates a secondary explosion. But notice the activity of the filaments and the prominences that you're seeing rise above the surface here. And your filament is the darker area in the bottom right corner. But just look at the top left right there. There's a system coming around that we're going to look at from stereo A. But again, everything is very active. We don't have an earth-facing sunspot. It's just all these places that are very energetic. This is triple cameras combined for the filter. And you can see that even though we had that filament explosion, it didn't take the whole filament out. This is a still shot because lately that's about all you can get from this combination of cameras. In the very top is an opening in the magnetic canopy of the sun. And when those holes like that are earth-facing, we get a lot of solar wind, because that opening allows the solar wind to escape the magnetic canopy that you're seeing everywhere. But look to the right side of this, at the top right. And here, again, SOHO is also earth-facing. You looking at the outer edges of the sun, and that's why you have the occulter disk right there in the center. It's like holding your hand up to the sun. We talked about that before, to block it so you can see something else in the sky. That's what this is doing. And right here on the left, coming around the sun, like what we just saw, there's something coming. It's growing over the last 2 days. Look at that. It looks like it's ready to explode at any time, but there's a couple of very energetic sunspots. Now here is stereo A. It's in orbit, in the same orbit as Earth, but it's behind us, so it gives us a side view of the sun when we are looking at what would be called an Earth-facing view from the first two satellites. But this one's exactly in Earth's orbit, and it is following, and that you can see that energy right there. Also, at the very bottom right, you see the filament release. On the left, you see these other energized sunspots, and they are just about perfectly facing Mercury at this time. But here's a still image from the same satellite, giving us a side view. Top right is what's coming around that we're looking at on the left, and also these three energetic areas there. Now, we've looked at this in the last few videos. Earth is in the green dot, yellow is the sun. Stereo A is in the A, in the red A, in the red circle right there, and it's giving us this side view. And this is the location. Notice your timestamp, July 31st. This is where these planets and satellites are right now. Now, you've got Mercury right there, and Venus to the left. Mars is also on the backside, further up into the top left. But that energy seems to be following Venus. It's there. Mercury is also affecting it. We've been talking about this electric universe. So as all of these, and the planets that are closer to the Earth and the sun have a lot less rotation period as far as their years. So they move faster, and we're going to see them move closer and closer to more of an Earth-facing position. And as they do that, that's going to put all the energy that we're seeing on the Earth side of the sun. This is also stereo ahead A. That's the one that's behind us. And you can see that explosion to the right. And that was that filament release that we saw in the earlier videos. CME trackers aren't picking up much right now. Maybe they've taken the day off. But guys, this map is one of the better ones we've seen for a while, because you've got some moisture moving up through the western states. It's not real heavy in some areas. Now, in the center, you can see the clouds are going more to the orange and red. But we're still dealing with a tremendous amount of wildfire smoke. Guys, the planet's in trouble because our shields are weak. We're getting this intense heat. And there's forest fires everywhere and drought. Maybe this will help somewhat. But notice the Great Salt Lake in Utah. We're going to look at that closer. It's really drying up. I think it's the lowest level maybe it's ever been. But look at the wildfire smoke, guys. Check that out. Big loop. This is where it's concentrated most, right there. But you can see it all the way across the entire map here. Again, maybe you'll get some relief from this drought. We hope so, guys, because it's becoming critical around the world. As we're getting drought and excessive heat here that's about to cut a lot of major water supplies. I've been telling you guys about this. They're talking about it more and more, starting to put more regulations on different farmers. It could happen at any minute. But this is looking closer at Salt Lake. Look at where the blue line is. That's where the water is supposed to be. And look at where it really is. Check that out. But it's all over the world. And we're getting this drought and heat. And in South America, you got oranges and coffee that got hit with a freak freeze, damaging them. We may not have coffee next year. What you can find from that area, will be very expensive. Now, we've had a very mild hurricane season. July is coming to an end today. We're going into August. And we'll look at the charts going back into the 1800s. I'll show you a couple of those on when your peak areas are. But it's been extremely quiet this year. We had that one storm came up, cut through Florida, went up the East Coast, flooded the subways in New York. Just kind of hung in there with a lot of trouble. But notice September 10th in the very centers of the peak. And this particular chart goes back for 100 years. September 10th, again, peak. But notice coming into August, which tomorrow's August 1st, we start seeing a rise. And you saw that storm starting to come off of Africa. We'll keep an eye on that. But July's been very quiet. Now, you've had some major ones coming out of June into July. The Katrinas and Harveys, things like that. But this is when it's going to get interesting because of all this heat that we're dealing with. And guys, I want you to type in Turkey wildfires. Man, all along the coast it's burning. Huge fires are evacuating people. But these is another chart goes back to 1851 to 2018. And 82% of the storms occurred in August, September, and October. Again, with the peak September 10th. But you got three different color reds here. The major hurricanes are in the darker, the more magenta red. And they peak around September the 5th. Notice the darker colors at the very bottom of the chart. That's your major hurricanes. So right in there, check that out. So that's what we're dealing with a quiet season. What's concerning to me is with this record heat, and man, you can't hardly do anything outside right now. I mean, you really have to be safe. And this chart is also saying that this year, the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season, should have 3 to 5 major hurricanes, 6 to 10 hurricanes, and 13 to 20 named storms. But the chart on the left, the blue section of this pie chart, is saying 60% above normal. Bottom left, the little blue square there, 30% near normal, and 10% below normal. But again, here, 60% of an above normal season. The heat is going to be a major factor. As long as the shields are weak, we're still climbing into the very early stages of solar cycle 25, and that's going to peak around probably the end of 2026. And between now and then, things are really going to be active if they're already this active on the surface of our sun. But guys, we're watching this. Again, we've got the system coming off of Africa now. We don't know if it's going to hold together, but we are getting into that type of season. And I'm sure that a lot of you have thought about, man, did the hurricanes just go away this year? We'll see. But it has been a very quiet season up until this point. That could be about to change. We're watching it, guys, but go again and look up the wildfires in Turkey. It looks like an apocalypse, guys. People on the beach and the mountains are on fire. Very, very dangerous situation. And with every wildfire in every country, some fires are natural, lightning, winds knocking down power lines. Some are not natural. And there's some video image from a drone or helicopter one infrared that it looks like it's not all natural. Those folks are really in trouble. We're watching it, guys. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.